You remember the day you got the offer. $60,000 a year. You said it out loud in your car, alone, just to hear what it sounded like. $60,000. You called your mom, you went out to dinner, you ordered the thing on the menu you actually wanted instead of the second cheapest option. You felt, for the first time in a long time, like you had made it. That was the last time the number felt real. Because here's something nobody told you when you signed that contract. The $60,000 on your offer letter, it's a lie. Not the kind of lie where someone deceived you on purpose, the kind of lie that hides in plain sight, dressed up in direct deposits and dental benefits and a job title that sounds like progress, while quietly paying you something closer to $19 an hour. And once you see the math, you cannot unsee it. Let's start where every paycheck starts. Gross. $60,000 a year sounds like $5,000 a month. Clean, simple, enough. But before that money touches your bank account, the government has already taken its cut. Federal income tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare. By the time you're actually holding your take-home pay, you're looking at somewhere between $43,000 and $46,000 a year, depending on your state. Let's be generous. Let's call it $45,000. You're already down $15,000 and you haven't bought a single thing yet. But that's just the money leaving your account. Here's the part that nobody talks about. The money you're spending because you have the job. You commute. Maybe it's 40 minutes each way. Maybe it's an hour. Gas or train tickets or parking. Conservatively, that's $200 a month, $2,400 a year. Gone. Your wardrobe has a work section and a real life section, and the work section costs money to maintain. Dry cleaning, blazers, the specific kind of shoes that are comfortable enough to wear 8 hours but still look professional. Add $800 a year, minimum. And then there's lunch, because you cannot meal prep every single day. And the sad desk salad you eat in front of your monitor still costs $9. At 3 lunches out per week, that's another $1,400 a year, silently draining out of the salary you thought you were earning. We're now down to roughly $40,400. Here is where most people stop doing the math. They see $40,400, feel okay about it, and move on. But we're not done, because we haven't talked about time. Divide that $40,400 by the hours you actually work, not the 40 hours on your contract, the real number. The emails you check before bed, the Slack messages on Sunday night because something came up and you feel like you should respond, the extra hour you stayed because the meeting ran over and leaving felt like a statement, the 20 minutes you spend every morning mentally preparing for the day before you've even gotten in the car. You're not doing anything else during it. You're just not getting paid for it. When you add it all together, honestly, you are giving your employer somewhere between 55 and 60 hours of your life every single week. Run the numbers. $40,400 divided by 52 weeks divided by 55 hours per week. $14.13 an hour. If you have a longer commute, a higher cost of living city, or a state with heavier income tax, you might already be sitting below $12. That's not $60,000. That's barely above minimum wage in some states, except minimum wage workers clock out when their shift ends and never think about work again until they clock back in. Sit with that for a second. You negotiated for this salary. You felt good about it. You told people what you earned with quiet pride. And after taxes, after the costs of having the job, after every hour you've actually given, you are earning the equivalent of $14 an hour. Here's what's interesting. This is not a math problem. It's a psychology problem. Neuroscientists who study financial decision-making have found that humans are extraordinarily bad at evaluating lump sums versus time costs. When you see $60,000, your brain files it under a lot of money. It doesn't automatically divide by hours. It doesn't subtract the invisible costs. It anchors to the big number, and that anchor shapes every financial and career decision you make afterward. You feel more comfortable than you are. You feel more locked in than you actually have to be. You feel like leaving would be risky when staying quitting might be the bigger risk of all. That anchor is exactly what the system is counting on. Now, here is where the story gets uncomfortable, because it is not just about what you are losing every month. It is about what you are trading it for and what you are choosing not to build instead. Think about what those 55 hours per week could create outside the salary structure. A freelance skill, writing, design, bookkeeping, consulting, social media management, operating at the same $14 to $19 effective rate your job is currently paying you, except those hours don't come with a salary cap. They compound, they scale. Data from freelancing platforms consistently shows that a focused freelancer working 20 hours per week in a skilled niche can clear between $3,000 and $5,000 per month within 18 months. That is $36,000 to $60,000 per year, working half the hours you currently give your employer, with no commute, no dry cleaning, no Sunday night dread. Or think about it purely in investment terms. The $200 a month you're spending on commuting costs, the gas, the parking, the train pass, invested at a conservative 8% annual return instead. In 10 years, that single line item becomes $36,000 without a single additional contribution. The money you're spending to maintain access to a job that pays you $14 an hour is the exact money that could be quietly building you a way out of needing it. Psychologists call this opportunity cost blindness. When you are inside the salary, you cannot see outside it. The job feels like the only legitimate version of income because it comes with a title, a benefits package, a LinkedIn headline, and a manager who validates your contribution every quarter during your performance review. Everything outside the salary structure, the freelance client, the investment account, the income stream you build on the side, feels risky and uncertain, and like something that works for other people but probably not for you. But here's the thing they never teach you. The risk is not out there. The risk is staying exactly where you are, anchored to a number that sounds like $60,000 but spends like $14. So what salary would you actually need? Not to feel rich, not to retire next year, just to genuinely feel the income you were promised when you signed that offer letter. If you want to truly take home $60,000 in real spendable money after taxes, after the costs of employment, accounting for your actual hours, you need a gross salary of somewhere between $85,000 and $95,000, depending on where you live and how you commute. That is not an outrageous ask. That is just the number that makes the promise of $60,000 mathematically true. And knowing that number matters more than you realize. Right now, you might be turning down a freelance project at $40 an hour because it feels like less than your salary. It isn't. It is more than double your actual effective rate. You might be staying in a role you've outgrown because the base looks stable on paper. It is not stable. It is a slow leak disguised as security. There is a specific moment that happens when women run this calculation for the first time. Financial psychologists call it the clarity event, the moment where the story you have been telling yourself about your income collides with the reality of what you are actually earning, hour by hour, week by week. Some women feel angry. Some feel embarrassed for not seeing it sooner. Some feel like they have been quietly cheated for years without anyone even meaning to cheat them, which is somehow the strangest feeling of all. But the ones who move forward, they feel something else entirely. They feel free because the calculation doesn't just show you what you're making, it shows you what 1 hour of your life is currently worth to the structure you're inside. And once you know that number, you start protecting those hours differently. You stop raising your hand for projects that go nowhere. You stop agreeing to the 6 p.m. meeting that could have been an email. You start asking out loud and without apology for the salary that actually closes the gap between the number on your offer letter and the number that would make it real. The math that makes every employed person reconsider their entire career is not an attack on having a job. Plenty of jobs are worth having, but this math is a mirror. And the woman who looks into it clearly, who does the full calculation, who stops letting the anchor of a large gross number do her thinking for her, she is the one who negotiates from a completely different place. Not from fear of what she might lose, comes from knowledge of what she is actually worth. So here is your actual homework. Take your salary, subtract 25% for taxes, subtract your annual commute, your work wardrobe, your lunches, whatever's left, divide by 52 weeks. Then divide by the honest number of hours this job takes from you each week, including the commute, including the emails at 10 p.m., and including the Sunday anxiety that never quite turns all the way off. Write that number down. Then ask yourself one question. Is that the rate I want to be charging for my time? Because that is what you are charging right now, whether you have calculated it or not. The only difference between then and now is that now you know, and knowing changes everything.